Shitstorm 2017. There's not a whole lot to say about this game, but I'm gonna say a whole lot anyway. Shitstorm is a side-scrolling 2D survival game made by the developer Floor Chicken. You control a bot that must navigate through a randomized obstacle course of laser beams and moving rockets. Your goal is to collect as many poop coins as possible until you run out of gas or are stopped by one of the obstacles along the way. You'll find food scattered across the screen that will slightly increase your gas remaining, which, if you can avoid all the laser beams and rockets, is the lifeline of your run. The only controls you have and need in the game is the left mouse button or the left control button on the keyboard. And the control you have over the character is just as minimal. Holding the left mouse button will raise your character toward the top of the screen, and letting go, your character will fall back down. Be aware though, the more you lift your character, the more gas you will use. The butt's movement does have a bit of weight and momentum, so trying to lift your butt up while it's already on the way down will take a bit more effort, a bit more gas, and most importantly, more time and space. This is a critical consideration if you want to avoid incoming lasers and rockets. Unlike in other titles, you have no health points or lives. Touching one of the lasers or being exploded by a rocket will instantly end your run. The laser obstacles come in two varieties, stationary and rotating, and are easy enough to avoid. Some lasers toggle between on and off, and on occasion, you can navigate through the area of a laser if it turns off at just the right moment. The rockets are signaled by an audio cue, and they travel through the top, bottom, or center of the screen. Sometimes you'll encounter a barrage of 3 rockets, which have an audio cue slightly louder than normal. This barrage begins at the bottom of the screen and progresses upward. Sometimes an extra rocket gets thrown in at the end. Surprisingly, the game feels well balanced, despite the limited control scheme and enemy variety and placement. Some runs will definitely feel easier or more difficult due to the procedural generation. Obstacles occasionally left my character with little wiggle room, but I could often overcome them with practice and technique. Now, I keep using the term character to describe the butt, but that is totally incorrect. Besides a, perhaps, inherent sense that the butt does not want to die, there is no characterization to the butt. Setting your own metric is the point of the game, and with the only measure of success being your score, unless you want to count the cosmetic upgrades, breaking your high score or setting a score to attain is the reason to keep playing. Disappointingly, the game does not record the scores of your previous runs. You have to remember your high score in this game, and as of the time of this recording, I proudly proclaim mine is 226 coins. The only metrics the game tracks are how many coins you've accumulated over your various runs, and which skins you've unlocked. The fast-paced music ratchets up nicely with the reactionary gameplay. The sound used when a coin is collected is a little too loud for my liking, the effect of which is compounded when multiple coins are collected at once or in quick succession. It's certainly a pleasing feeling to have that auditory feedback, reminiscent of collecting coins in a Super Mario or Sonic game, but that specific sound effect could be brought down a few decibels. Over the course of a longer run, you get used to the sound, but I still contend it to be a bit too strident. The silent lasers could also use an auditory effect when they're on the screen, although the lack thereof doesn't detract from the game. And of course, the butt emits a sound of flatulence when using gas. Overall, the visual design is functional and charming, in a Crazy Monkey Games or Newgrounds kind of way. The crassness of the butt, complete with anus, lends to the immature feel of the game. It's a one-joke theme which, thankfully, is promptly swept to the side as the gameplay takes over. I found the nodes on either ends of the laser beams difficult to see, especially for the lasers which shutter on and off. These nodes are light gray and don't contrast well with the starry background. This is by no means a flaw in the visual design of this enemy, it's just an interesting and probably intentional choice. The unlockable costumes in the game offer visual variety to the butt and the poop, and notably, the Santa hat even changes the background music. These costumes can be purchased with a familiar in-game currency, Happily, the coins you've been collecting during gameplay are the currency. I would have liked that the prices were a bit higher, but I believe the developer had realistic expectations about how many hours his buyers might put into this game. The settings familiar to newer games are missing. There is no way, in-game, to change the volume of the music or sound effects. Launching the game from Steam opens a configuration window which allows you to choose a few graphical settings. There's also an Input tab within this window that displays several control inputs, but from my testing I can report that none of these are used in the game. There are two bugs I noticed during my time playing. Occasionally, the sound used for collecting coins or food would be played at unprompted moments. It's an odd quirk, but not a game-breaking problem. The other bug happened to me only once, where multiple scenes were layered on top of each other which normally did not appear together. I'm only supposing this was a bug, however. I often find that the best forms of media, whether it be movies, video games, or TV shows, leave me with a sense of longing to add to the project as a whole. That is, I make suggestions as to how the art could be improved. Not to fix it, but to enhance the experience. Shitstorm is one of those games where I'd love to see the butt fire back at the enemy, collect extra lives, or gain invincibility frames. Throw in a little more enemy variety, add in blue coins which count as 5 normal coins. Or maybe some dynamic animations when the butt is bopping up and down on the screen. However, I'll admit, my suggestions merely express my desire to participate in the theoretical improvement of a gaming experience that is fun, funny, and just a little too crude. For the price, Shitstorm is worth the giggle. Even more so when you catch it on sale.